Okay, last question. This last question is all about context clues again. Um, Using context to determine the relevant meaning of unfamiliar words, or or to distinguish among multiple meanings of words and homographs. And that is what 3.4b is. So this one is a little tricky because if you don't already know something about snooze, the only clues you're going to get from the actual passage is that we're talking about an alarm clock, and that we're not talking about maybe someone taking a snooze. So we certainly have that clue going for us, but not much else. And we see that clue because the author talks about my alarm clock, uh, my alarm clock, my alarm clock, my alarm clock. So we're definitely talking about a device here, but we're not talking about somebody taking a snooze. So if we know that, if we have enough schema or prior knowledge to know that there's a button on an alarm clock that allows you to snooze and get 5 or 10 minutes more sleep, then you're okay. Then you're golden. And you can come over here and you can just go through the process of elimination, and you can start looking for the correct answer. And so the question is, in line 1 of this poem, what does the word snooze mean? And a lot of people jump on F, a switch for turning off the alarm clock, turning it on and off. And that's a good answer, but it may not be the best answer. And so I really encourage you guys that when you run across an answer like this, put a check by it, put a star by it, but don't mark it yet, and let's keep looking. So we like that one, but we're not sure. Based on what we know about clocks. And then we go to G, a chord for plugging in an alarm clock. We don't like that. H, display for reading the time on the clock. Now that doesn't make any sense to us. Then we have J, a button on the clock that allows for more sleep. Now that's a little more accurate and a little more descriptive than what we had up here. I think I like this answer better. Okay, this isn't a terrible answer, but this is a better answer. And on multiple choice questions, we always have to pick the best answer. So in this particular question, not a lot of opportunity to use clues here, but I would bring in, got this off of Pinterest, and I would bring in this little page here that talks about the different ways. Let me try to fix this for you guys. Here we go. There are basically 5 ways to identify context clues. And the first thing is sometimes the author will define it for you. And they give you a great example here. Mr. Fry is an affable principal. He is pleasantly easy to approach and always friendly. So they almost define affable in the second sentence here. So this is one way a good reader looks for a context clue to figure out the definition of a word they might not know. Another example is the author will use synonyms, words that mean about the same thing. Again, Mr. Fry is quite affable, period. In fact, he reminds me of Miss Baker. Do you remember how kind she was? So now we can make the assumption here that being affable has something to do with being kind, being approachable, being polite. Another strategy that they will use, that the author will use sometimes, instead of giving you the synonym, something similar, they will give you the opposite. They will give you the antonym. For example, I miss Mr. Fry. Our new principal is cranky and unapproachable. Mr. Fry was so affable. Now we might not know exactly what affable means, but we know that it's the opposite of what? It's the opposite of cranky and approachable. The author sometimes will give you an example. Mr. Fry is an affable principal. He knows everybody's name. If you have a problem, talk to him. So here the author is actually fleshing out what the word affable means. And then the one that they like to include on a lot of your tests, the inference. Let me get this on up here so you can read it. You don't need to worry about talking to Mr. Fry. He is an affable principal. So the author really doesn't come right out and say anything here. He just says you don't need to worry about talking to Mr. Fry, which kind of implies what? That everything's going to be okay and that you have nothing to be afraid of. So he must be a pretty nice guy. All right. This is the one that you see on your standardized tests a lot. Okay. It's a little bit more difficult than some of the others. But it is definitely in your best interest as a reader and as a test taker to learn that there's 5 strategies when it comes to context clues. You can look for the definition, you can look for the synonym, you can look for the antonym, you look for the example, and you look for the inference. So when you are reading, you will find these things probably within a sentence or two above or a sentence or two below the actual vocabulary word. Okay, so that's another little strategy tip for you there. So I hope this helps, guys. Good luck to you, and most importantly, read, read, read. Have a great day.